Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First up, we got the consent agenda. Anybody have anything? Consent agenda.
I have a ton of there's misspellings and typos that we just want to make sure that they're fixed before we post it. One of them is, of course, Steve's name is spelled wrong about 9 times. So I'm happy to approve it. Everything is fine. It's just these spellings.
Have those, I can
Yes. Can we approve it and just say
With the edits.
with the, yeah. So, did you have any other besides that?
No, I mean, it reported accurately what happened, so all of that's
Yeah.
good.
So we'll approve it actually, and then I'll just hand it to you. Super simple.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the edits that I will provide to Ashley.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Oh, thanks. Do we have any public comment? Oh, sorry. Okay. Next up, we have the public hearing for the additional appropriation. Do you want to cover that?
What's that?
The additional appropriation?
Yeah, actually, the additional appropriation, this is just a public hearing to discuss the additional appropriation.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the resolution now.
Yeah, we've got the resolution down further to discuss it further. Public hearing just for to take any comments. Is that correct?
Yep. So
We just need our minute timer.
Yep. Okay. Okay, it's been a minute, so the public hearing is closed. And then we will just we'll attach that with the resolutions, right?
Yes.
Yep. Resolution 10, it looks like.
Before we get too far, I did have on the employee handbook, I did have one, I think, name, our position, that didn't get changed in the fire inspector investigator, the page 2 of 3 at the very top. Would that be you? Okay. It still says it should be fire inspector investigator and stripe the deputy fire marshal. And then just an editing. Page 2 of 3 at the very top.
One of them is a deputy fire marshal.
Yeah, no, this,
Co-mingle the
he's
papers.
correct. I see what it
Yeah,
says.
I did too. We'll get it changed.
Okay.
Are we good? Okay.
Okay. So next up, we have department head reports. First, we have township assistants.
So, as always, we've been extremely busy in township assistance. There's a big jump in the money that we spent, mostly due to we received the bills for the township grant finally. We paid those out in November. Yeah, that was around $18,000. That wasn't just for November. That was a compilation of a couple months there. We did pay out a little bit more in rent assistance, but as always, she's been busy with those numbers. Any questions about township assistance?
Isn't, when, the detail, what just scrolled up, the 89, 82 and the small amount of utilities.
This.
And yeah, that number, would that also be under that same number down there, or am I getting apples and oranges next year?
So this is what we pledged to give out in the month of November. We might not necessarily paid it. Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Any other questions on township assistance?
So just the salary we had discussed, it's not getting any slower.
Nope.
Human resources, welcome back.
That's me again. As you can see in the report, we had a few new hires, mostly in our extended care camp, some club supervisors, club counselors. We hired a new park admin assistant, a new lead event staff, and one new paramedic. The terminations were in the extended care. Again, just them leaving. None of them were terminated for cause, just them leaving on their own will. Any questions about that?
Any hot spots and trouble hiring at all, or?
We get them in, but they seem to not really want to stay sometimes. I think a lot of it is just the part-time hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone knows any other differences. Yeah, just the part-time hours. Gets to people.
These kids.
Getting the kids. Yeah.
Okay. No other questions?
No.
Okay. Parks is up next.
All right. Just like Ashley mentioned, we are officially at full staff again. We had 2 new hires. We had Tanella, who is working programs with Allison, and then we have Tasha Hensley, who is our administrative assistant. So we've done a little bit of reworking as to who works in what building, but we're in a really good flow right now. And then also with our hiring for youth services, yes, there are some terminations and resignations, but we're actually at a really good spot with our hiring. We're at the point now where we can actually go out and audit the program and audit the employees that we have, which is really great. And so we've seen some really good things from that as well too. And then in the month of November, we were honored with a few awards from the Indiana Park and Recreation Association. And so that was very exciting for all of us. And Ryan was able to come up to that as well. And then we're in a really good spot with our budget too. And so we're just excited for the new year, excited for, the new hires that we have coming on and all the other opportunities we'll be able to provide. And then, of course, you can see kind of our marketing numbers. We finally reached 10,000 followers on Facebook, which was a goal of Karen's for a while now. So that's really exciting. We're doing a lot more with the different platforms that we have. So we're excited to see what that does for us in the new year as well. Is there any questions about the parks report?
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say congratulations. I think the last time we were here, we knew that you had won one award and we were waiting for the next day for when you were going to drive down. So just a testament to you and your entire team. We're really proud of you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Great work.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, fire.
All right. Hello. It's been busy. I want to correct the typo before we get going on the front page here. As we participated in an multi-agency drill, that should have been a. Correct that. I did just notice that when you were saying it. I was a little paranoid and wanted to read my stuff. Want to give a recognition to Deputy Chief of Administration Robert Phipps, taking the classes that I listed up there. One of the things that we try to do is anytime we want to align somebody in a position or put them in charge of something, it's important for them to be aligned with the people that they're in charge of and understand their job function versus just being arbitrary. In operations, we've always done that in fire service. Whoever the ops chief is, they usually have all the certifications and operational knowledge of the subordinates that are out in the streets doing the work. Administratively, we haven't done that in a lot of departments. It's just one of those jobs that you come in and you have the admin job, you're given whatever scope that is given to you. It's usually defined in buildings and apparatus and dollars and cents, but he's been going out and knowing that the PIO will fall under his scope. Fire investigators with Levi and his group fall under his scope. He's going out making sure that he either has their training or above and staying on top of that. And while doing that, while staying on top of your own job functions is a big deal. Chief Porter's always been aligned with everybody that's out doing their job. He's got all the operational certifications, either at or above all of the people that are in our department. And again, to accomplish that on the administrative front, that's not something that's always a common thing. So you can speak intelligently about the people that you're in charge of. So I appreciate that. I appreciate his efforts, and I appreciate Chief Porter staying on top of his stuff. That's the second paragraph. We did a national training I reached out to you all about, active shooter hostile response, emergency response. Those are a big deal. We're one of the only people in the county really doing anything active. We invited Brownsburg down. They haven't had the opportunity. That's a testament to our relationship with law enforcement here in Avon. We work really well together on all other staff, and that whole program and that whole response drill is going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger for what the intent of the training is. We had blanks that were fired, so they heard real gunshots and so on and so forth. And the reality of the training is what's a big deal, because whenever you get in, you never know how you're going to react to something like that. I think, Shane, you can kind of speak to it as your wife earlier this year, whenever somebody just brought a gun to school. What do you do? Where are you at? Are you stuck in the basement? How are you going to respond to it? How are we going to get to you? And PD, they have that training. We don't know how we're going to interact with them. And it's important to have it now before it's too late. We just had a recent response to the bakery over here, and luckily that ended up being pretty benign. But had it not been, we recognize a lot of shortcomings and deficiencies between Chief Nugent and Chief Porter and some of their discussion, and they started really drilling down on our actual response. So I appreciate that with them. EMS division interviewed 9 paramedics for 3 spots. Those 3 spots are one because of a warranted and an appropriate resignation. The other 2 spots are because we're bringing 2 people from the paramedic side over to the fire side. Again, I've talked to you in detail about the one issue, and that's enough said about it. But again, we're keeping ourselves staffed. We're recognizing our people, providing paths within their career so they can stay with us. And 2 of them want to go to the fire side, one had applied, finished first on a list in another department in a different part of the state. And we had a discussion with them and said, how do we keep you? Because that same employee was EMS Provider of the Year last year. So we have value in them. They had value in themselves, and they were willing to stay, and knew that there was going to be a path made, and the path was created, and they took advantage of it and succeeded. We have 2 people that will be coming over. So that's the reason for the interview for the 3 spots. We did just hire paramedic Casey Webb. She is taking the place of an opening we've had for a while. And, that's why we're continuing to hire and also replace Victoria Buckley and Connor Dalton, who will be coming over. Fire prevention. They interviewed candidates for the growth of the fire prevention division. Community risk reduction is a big deal on the fire side. It's something that can oftentimes be in the background and overlooked. Levi and Tom, I appreciate them and thank them every time for pushing the envelope. And now this is the next phase of growing that. Again, when we use the words grow, I want to use that in prevention loosely, because in 2005, we had a marshal, 2 investigators, and pub ed. After this next hire in January, we've already vetted the person. They've been through all of the steps, but I'm going to leave their name out for now just because there are other jobs still working. But when they join us, out of the 9 people, and they were 1 selected, we're just getting back to 0. We're getting back to what we used to be in 2005. Look at the footprint now versus 2005. Things have changed, and we're missing inspections on buildings. And those inspections, whenever we use the word community risk reduction, are for the safety of not only the citizens and the business owners, but us. We need to know what's in the buildings, know what egresses are blocked, know what kind of modifications to the building have been made. So a lot of education comes out of their work for us, and we're missing a lot of that just because there's so many businesses and so little in this division. I wouldn't be surprised to see this as we drill it down and get better numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if this looks to potentially grow again in the next couple of years, just because we're growing. So especially as we move out west. Lastly, we signed with Access Architecture for architecture and engineering plans for Station 143's remodel, Station 142 planning, and the upcoming build out of Station 145, and plus the training grounds. We reordered some of our stuff compared to what was initially laid out to you all. That's just based on cash and finances and a better understanding. In recent months, our staff and Ashley traveled down to Franklin, met with Jeff Peters, really drilled down some finances and information that we wanted to understand a little bit better. His reassurances were good. We're in great shape. Everything presented has been positive, and everything that we presented to you early on is still positive. I was under the premise that we had a little bit more cash than we have, and so we're just going to reorder some of these projects that we have upcoming. Anything you guys want to know about them, we can talk about. They're still on the hot plate. They're still being discussed and organized, but obviously we have the property for 5s. It's coming. We have needs at 142s. They're coming. We have needs in our department as a whole, where we've started the bunk rooms and the bathroom projects and some of the firehouses. That has to happen at 3s. It's coming. The budget and the money that was put in before wasn't enough. Now we're getting appropriate dollars and cents put to it, and not using pen to paper drawings, but actual architectural drawings that we're having made. And that's the next step in one of our meetings we had today. As a note, I would like you guys to understand some changes in Wayne Township. This isn't in the stuff I have in front of you. Wayne Township is going to be merging with IFD. In doing so, they're struggling on the EMS side now. So we're getting a lot of applicants for paramedics. We're getting them from Lifeline and other places, but now they're starting to come from Wayne Township. There's been heavy talks and rumor, but now it's real discussion and letters, and they're going to be merging with IFD. In doing so, they have run 5 medics in the past. They're really running about 4 now. You're about right. When IEMS takes over, when they merge with IFD, the plans are right now to run 3, potentially 2 ALS, 1 BLS with a chase truck. That's going to strain us. It's already straining us. We're going to Danville a lot, and Chief Duncan's doing a good job out there trying to right the ship. But whenever we look west, where the bulk of our runs are, they're going to regress a little bit in their coverage, and at least in our opinion. And it's really not an opinion. Whenever you see the data between Plainfield, Avon, and Brownsburg, we're heading east a lot more. So just know that. We have plans in the works. Some of it's in the remodels in the building to try to keep us in our area. There's going to be a lot of data and information given to you guys in the coming meetings. And that's what it's going to be about. It's going to be a justification, and also our plans to keep our ship upright and not have our resources strained elsewhere. So just be aware of that. We moved down to the Fire Inspection Investigation Division. They brought in another $2,700, $56,570 in total year to date. They opened the process, like I mentioned earlier, to hire a new fire inspector investigator to start in January. We drilled that down. We've been through all of their tasks and successfully completed them. I think the one that people get most nervous about is the CVSA, the work stress analysis. But anyway, knowing the person that went through it, it was pretty comical for them, but they survived. Levi and Tom were hard on them, but they got what they needed out of it. Again, fire inspections, consultations 54, plan reviews 3, site reviews 5, total number 62. You don't see a lot of CVSA exams. I personally went away from it a little bit for some of our new hires. We're going to drill that down, clean it up, and see how we bring that back.
What's the CVSA exam?
Voice stress analysis. They also known as a lie detector or things like that. It's just a different version of it. Fire investigations conducted 1, and they're currently on 1 right now that we just came back from. So on the runs, monthly emergency response is 711. You guys can read the numbers and you know what those mean by now. This hasn't changed a whole lot. Same thing on responses and turnout times. Hasn't changed a whole lot. What I'd like to draw your attention to is staffing. Monthly overtime billed 826 hours. The last couple months, I've told you that we've had a drastic drop versus what we presented to you in the first 6 months. And September was 1,158 hours. October, 818 hours. again, a continued drop. So now I can say that's a reality. That's been the efforts on the operational side and the administrative side, both of them working together with the battalions to get people cleared, get people in the backup ranks. Again, we tripled that compared to the population we had ready to ride back up whenever I came in February. I was in the low to mid 20s. Now we're in the high 60s, pushing 70. So people are stepping up and succeeding. And some of that is our population aging in, like I said last month, but others is people willing to come step forth and take a leadership role. They've been challenged with it. They're stepping up and taking that challenge, and that's led to less overtime. And in turn, we're pushing toward better staffing, but I've let a few spots ride because we're going to have some shortcomings in personnel services with overtime. So to make up for that, I didn't hire 3 positions that we were staffed for or slated for. And that ended up working out okay. But again, that's not the answer. We don't play shell games with people just to overcome bad budgeting. So I think moving into this year, we're excited on how we budgeted, getting back to appropriate staffing levels and cutting this number even more. And the efforts so far have paid off. When you look at apparatus out of service, the next line down, Battalion 140, Engine 144, Engine 144 being EMS only. A lot of 0s, 8s, and 12s versus days and weeks at a time, presented early on. So same thing, just having the people stepping up and able to fill those seats so we don't have to put things out of service and we can use them for what they're intended for. So know that. So incident year to date, we're at 7,427 at the end of the month for November. Last year, all year, we were 7,600. So we are going to cross that 8,000 threshold. Again, it's not getting any slower.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, B shift is still holding it down. I think they've been the heaviest run load almost every time I've presented. On the chart side, fire department social media impressions. Facebook had a few popular posts. One of them was a birthday that was who was that? Alex on her saddle. So that one kind of broke the fire department doing that for us for a while. But again, it's our people out having fun, appropriate fun on shift, birthday dinners, celebrating with each other. And we just had shift meetings and a little bit of scolding in that, a couple dad talks maybe. But at the same time, we do appreciate our people and them having fun with each other, celebrating each other, hanging out outside of work, and being a family that they're expected to be. So with all the challenges, there's a lot of good going on as well. And that's what that post is. And then this month, we'll probably see another bump in this in December just because of house fire. Anytime you have a fire or major incident, that kind of keeps everybody engaged in our social media. Courtney and I talked. Obviously, public education is taking over social media. We do have a strategic plan to pursue on that. Chief Phipps and I have talked about what we want out of things moving forward, and we'll start executing that at the beginning of the year now that the newness is behind us. So we'll start moving things forward and try to get us out there in front of the news. If you look at Twitter today, Courtney did spend some time at WTHR, send her down there to Channel 13. We're going to send her to Fox 59 this month. Get her with Rita down at IFD, their PIO. She's pretty popular. Start making contacts and get Avon on the map and make sure people care about what's going on out here because we're pretty busy, even though we're outside of the metro area. A lot going on here. Any questions?
Just one comment. As you said, if Wayne Township is going through some changes on the mutual aid given and maybe some of the other key points, if we could consider, now that you've got almost a year of you guys generating the numbers that you feel comfortable with, if you could do some trend lines maybe. So that 232 as a November is a static number, but which way are we headed? I anticipate based upon your conversation that it's going to go up. So that and maybe some others, if we could, so kind of some of the not every number, but some of the.
We'll do our best to that. The programming and the way that the information comes in is a little bit of a taxation of trying to find that specific data, but we'll work to try to put something together.
Yeah, I think it's, even if it's nothing more than
Charting it throughout the year.
dropping it on an Excel spreadsheet and using that to generate a graph.
I can do that. I can look at what we did for the year and give that to you.
But it's just, now that we've got some, we can see trends
We won't have to break it, just in general, looking at mutual aid, we'll be okay. We don't have to break it down by area. I'll just chart what we already have on here. So the 232 is not on my own by itself. I'll put all the others on there and just make a chart and put it on the chart.
I'm not asking for a lot of extra work. If it's extra work, then you say, no, you don't know what you're talking about.
We're going to be doing some things. I mean, I want you guys to keep it in front of you, right? So as we move forward in our budget, I think where we're headed, and I feel where we're headed is positive, and it's going to be easy to follow and easier to tell the story now. We're out of the unknown and we're moving into ours, so there's no more excuse of we don't know. But also, what I need you guys to make sure you don't not know is we're going to pursue the build of Station 5. We are going to look at the feasibility of a remodel of Station 2, which might result in a rebuild. There's expense that's going to be coming. And it's going to be a lot of expense. It's not a little bit. You're talking about a house we expect people to live in. And those two firehouses, one doesn't exist, but property does. And it's in an area that's got a 6 to 8 minute response time. And I've said it publicly a couple of times, and I can't put my head in the sand and say I didn't know that we were not serving the population of people appropriately. Trustee Miller and I had a talk this morning that, well, you can make this argument almost anywhere, even if you head west. You're going to build East and Gray. We don't really cover it well, but we do with Station 3. Whenever we look at the heat maps and how we do, that's kind of East and Gray is covered by their area for appropriate response times. But the south area, south of 36 isn't. And looking at mutual aid, they're all south of 40 for Plainfield. So we have a property, we'll make it work. But again, we'll justify and we'll show you guys in January how Fords looks. I think the numbers are looking even better moving forward already after we did the short presentation early. We'll do another one in January, hopefully. We'll have all that information together for you. But then the presentations after that, the individual talks we may have one-on-one, they're going to be about 5s, and they're going to be about the needs of Station 2, and then the remodel of Station 3, that's been on your guys' radar for quite some time because it was in the budget this year, but we just didn't do it. So know these things are coming. They're expenses, and it's not for somebody to put their name on a board, right? It's because we need that for our people and the population as well. And with that comes the other side. We want to serve the community, but at the same time, the community doesn't want excess expense or taxes, and it's going to lead that way, some way, some form, more than likely. So those are future talks, though. All right, thank you.
Trustee report.
My report this month, I know that Laura was going to be talking about it as well, but as I stated in there, I think it would be prudent for us to recognize our Parks Department and their accomplishments. I know, having had individual conversations with the board, that you all expressed a lot of favorable words for Laura and her entire staff. But I felt that here in today's meeting, in the public meeting, certainly wanted to bring that up as well. They were great accomplishments, Laura, for you and your team. We certainly are proud of the work that you all have been doing and that you guys continue to do moving forward. So definitely wanted to bring that up, give the opportunity for the board to make sure that they were passing that sentiment along as well. So along with that, at the time that I wrote this report versus where we are right now, we have completed our State Board of Accounts audit for the audit period 21 and 22. Since I've completed this report, the report has been released and it is published now. There were no comments from the State Board of Accounts on anything that they had areas of concern for. So that is obviously something that everybody that works for the township should be happy to hear. Anytime we can have an audit that comes through and doing as much business as we do in this township, and to have the State Board of Accounts come back and say, no, I think you guys are doing it right. I think that's something that everybody in here should be proud of. So certainly I'm thankful for that, and happy to hear that was the report that we got back from them as a result.
Yeah, and I think the important thing too is they indicate that there's the appropriate level of checks and balances, and they didn't say model for other townships, but maybe I inferred that from what they said. But I think it's just a representation of doing things the right way and how that works out. So it's great.
And then the last half of my report I say in there that I've intentionally kept my report brief this month because I did want to take the opportunity to thank the Township Board and the entire Township staff. There has been a lot of changes over the last 365 days and a lot of new folks, myself included in that, of course. And everybody's been great. The work hasn't stopped. Everything's been kept going. But everybody from the top to the bottom of the organization has done their part to make sure myself, Chief Brock, any of the other new staff members that we've brought in over the year, making sure that we have the information that we need to do our jobs effectively. And that really is important, and it does mean a lot to me. You'll see in my second paragraph there, as we're pointing out spelling errors, I've got one as well. So we've all hit that mark this month. So good job there. But no, it's the staff has been great. Like I said, from the top to the bottom of our township, we have phenomenal group of employees that do incredible work. And whether it's the State Board of Accounts audit or the awards that are happening, or the fact that our guys are out in the cold this afternoon taking care of what is potentially the worst day in this family's life, having their house on fire. We've got a tremendous group of employees that work in all of our divisions here in the township, and I do want to take the opportunity to let everybody know how much I do appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you. Congratulations on your first year.
Thank you.
Can't believe it's been a year.
Right?
Yeah. You said that. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Here we are.
But I just want to say too, I concur. Sorry. I concur. So I just think everybody's doing a fantastic job. A lot of people have stepped up. And like Shane said, congrats on you completing your first year, and kudos to the job well done. Yeah. We did it.
Old business, we have Washington Township Transportation, pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, so for the Washington Township Transportation, unless I hear from Marina and she's ready to give us our first update report, this will probably be taken off the agenda for the meeting that we have 2 weeks from today, January 2nd. There's a reminder. So the only thing new with transportation is we've met our end of the obligation. They've got ownership of the van now. The first invoices came in to get us where we need to be year to date for the operation of that program. So now we're going to continue that until, like I said, until Marina is ready to come in and kind of give us the next update as to where we are, how the program's working, if there's any immediate changes that need to be made, and if not, what it's going to look like, hopefully then moving forward.
Good.
As far as the Murphy Aquatic Park pedestrian crossing, I continue to be looped in on some of the emails that go out in or out of Town Hall in regards to that. I believe Town Hall has maybe had a little bit of difficulty getting their contractor lined up to actually go out and set the pedestals for the pedestrian crossing. But the ball is definitely still in their court. They are still keeping me in the loop. So no changes there. I don't know how much pedestrian traffic we're getting this time of the year anyway, so I don't see any major concerns or issues there. But that's the only update that I have for that as well.
Okay. Okay. Next up, the new business, we have certification of receipt of conflict of interest and nepotism forms.
Yeah, so this is just me certifying that we have all three members of the township board, as well as myself. We all have completed our conflict of interest forms and our nepotism forms that we are required to fill out. Something, again, going back to that State Board of Accounts audit, these are just some of the different things that they do look at, and they do request copies of these. So again, no concerns there, but I am certifying publicly that we have completed those for the year.
And just as a comment, I don't know if the two of you were selected, but I had a questionnaire from the auditors.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
I did as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay.
Something that's not good.
That was, I think, just us being aware that this is what our people are doing is the thing that they were looking at also, that we're doing our part by ensuring that. So,
Yep.
Good.
Looks like next up, certification of trustee internal controls directive.
And again, just certifying, and I do have the signed version of this document that was attached in your packet, that we are abiding by the internal controls directive that we have here in Washington Township. So I am, again, just certifying that publicly, that we are following the rules that we have set in place for our people.
Next up is,
Do we have to, I believe, say that we are the people that we select to be the oversight committee?
We're going to do that next.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's a good segue. Yes, it is. Thank you, Steve. Next up, we have resolution 121923-0, run the 2024 internal control resolution. You want to cover it?
I know I do. If you got it, you can talk about it. The printed names and then the signed names if it's approved.
So this is just basically where we have to name the internal controls oversight committee and then approve that.
Okay, and we're all in agreement, we're naming ourselves as the oversight committee as we have in the past.
I think so, yes.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve resolution 121923-01, resolution of the Township Board regarding the system of internal accounting controls and designating the oversight committee, which shall be Shane Summers, myself, Amanda Babinick, and Steve Blackwood.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's got 4 lines. You're not one of the lines, right? Okay.
Does it matter that my name is spelled wrong on the back?
I'm gonna put my
James is also spelled incorrectly.
Goodness.
So we're gonna sign this with anyone.
we just added it.
Initial.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Let's see. Next up we have resolution 121923-02, 2024 board meeting schedule.
Yes, and this was an item that we tabled from last month's meeting. Wanted to make sure that everybody had ample opportunity to go over the board meeting dates for next year.
I don't have any conflicts at this time.
Okay, that is my concern, is that you weren't here, and I just wanted to ensure that you were able to have a moment to go through it. I did not have any conflicts either. Were you good, Steve?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, need a motion to approve.
I move that we adopt resolution 121923-02, meeting calendar for 2024.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next up, we have resolution 121923-03, 2024 salary resolution.
Yes, so I have that document here. The changes made to the salary resolution, there were a few title changes that were made in there based off of, we changed the name in some of those job descriptions. So those changes are reflected in here, as well as obviously the compensation rates have been adjusted. Those are all numbers that were reflected in our budget conversations that we had earlier this year.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or discussion?
Yeah, I think we've already discussed everything. I will make a motion to approve resolution 121923-03, amending salaries of township officers and employees.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up, we have authorization, Christmas. Resolution 121923-04, authorization for use of township credit cards.
So this resolution is essentially a renewal of what we've already got for this year. But for next year, as far as the credit cards themselves, we still have One card for fire, one card for parks, a small balance card, and a large balance card. None of those dollar amounts have changed from this year to next year. So it should look very familiar to all of you. But of course, if there's any questions or concerns, we do have that. We do have the overall cap on what can be put as far as credit limits. Only I have the authorization to change that, but typically those card numbers don't change at all as far as what their limits are for those.
And these are still the cards through Everwise, correct?
That's correct.
I know I guess the question would be to Ashley, everything is running smoothly there as far as that. Okay. Then I move we adopt resolution 121923-04 regarding the use of credit cards.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up, resolution 121923-05, group transfer resolution.
So I'll take this. This is just, so the first two lines are for fire, or the first three lines are for fire. The first two are just moving some money around so they can do some encumbrances in 2024 to buy some supplies. The third line is just to fix an overage in character 4 and 5 are parks, moving money into 1 due to overspend of salaries with the extended care and Lily Camp, adding those in. And then 6 is just for the supplies, moving money into 2 for supplies for the same reasons. We didn't budget for those since they were mid-year new things. So just getting that all lined up so that we close out the year properly with no negatives.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 121923-05, resolution of the Township Board authorizing appropriation of funds to be transferred from the groups within a specified fund.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, next up, we have resolution 121923-06, EMS write-offs.
So we do have the EMS write-off documentation covering the period of November 1st, 2022 through October 31st, 2023. Having a discussion with Ashley earlier, we do have a higher dollar amount written off this year than previous year.
143,000 more than what we ran off last year.
But with all of the conversations that we've been having as far as township assistance goes, I don't know that that's a big surprise to any of us. But that documentation was included in your packet there as well for you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Chief Fitz, are we still satisfied with their performance?
We are actively looking at another company currently.
Okay.
There's an auto renew with this contract that was put in place in the prior trustee. We didn't get anything with that until after they auto renewed us. We're looking at trying to help to get out of that. But they're currently charging us a little more fee than other competitors are.
I wasn't asking more for
Yeah.
that. I was asking for the collection.
The
efforts.
collection efforts,
Mm.
yeah, that's the other
That's
issue
why we're
on there,
doing it.
yes. The other reason, we also have done a lot more runs this year, so more runs, more write-offs. I mean, it's gonna be that way. We're sitting, we collected almost $400,000 more than we did last year, I believe, too, on that end. So,
Okay. So we're writing off 143,000 more,
Yes.
but we
we
collected.
collected more, but I mean, because we've done more runs.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing. We've done.
We're pushing the $2 million mark versus $1.5 million as
Okay.
far as revenue.
Yeah, I think that's where if we look at it as a percentage,
Right.
kind of a realization rate, for lack of a better way of saying it,
Yeah.
to better identify this is what,
Yeah. So
because if you say 100, it's not relative to anything, it's just a number.
Right.
So,
Yeah, because this isn't
Could
something
be good,
that we
could be
have, I really talked about this year,
No,
and that's why I asked the question.
We've internally talked about it, and there's some intentions right now.
there was a year we talked about it constantly.
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's my fault.
That's okay. Good question. Okay, but as Shane said, the number, I gave me pause, but the percentage,
That's what I think, yeah, that's kind of the knowing what that is a big thing.
Okay.
And then the why.
right?
Adjustments are one thing, write-offs are a whole way different beast. So,
Mhm.
okay, any further discussion or question?
No.
Just need a motion to approve.
I move resolution 121923-06, resolution of the Township Board authorizing ambulance transportation write-offs.
Oh, second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up is resolution. Sorry, let me come back up here. 121923-07 safety board document.
So we sent you the proposed changes to the safety board document. We actually sent a separate attachment along with the packet as well with the red line version. Whether that makes it easier or more difficult for you to read, it at least gives you options to look through that. Flipping through the document, you'll see that there are a lot of 2023 revisions or changes that are on there. The best we can tell, we probably haven't looked at this document since 2016. So it needed quite a bit of attention, and that's why the document was sent separately with those red line changes, because there's a lot to digest on there. These are all changes that the fire chief and his staff looked at, as well as we had sent over to Bellamy's office as well to make sure that, again, we're following all of the rules that we can on there. Some of it was just cleaning up, some terminology changes between 2016 and now. Some of them was getting us more in line with some of the legal changes, statute changes that have happened between then and there. Age was one of them, and I know that has changed at the state statute. But yeah, so that's what brings us in front of the safety board document here today.
Can I speak on some of this as well? So we changed it up to 40 because that is the state statute change. State statute still states 21, but a lot of departments go down to 18, and that's more authority having jurisdiction after a lot of conversations with people in the state and throughout the state union as well. Again, it's not our intent necessarily to just hire 18-year-olds, but like people on the safety board, whenever we talk, they want me to give you guys a message as you consider it, as they fully back the idea of changing this, even though they don't have anything to do with it. And I think Alan Yackey put it best, right? You'll let him leave and go into the military and carry a gun and fight for the country, but I can't go fight a house fire for my neighbor. And he said he fully supported that and wondered why we hadn't pursued it before. Staff-wise, we had one neutral. I was against. Phipps was for. But after working with some of the high school kids, talking to people in the Area 31 program, working with one of the local football teams, there was a lot of things that changed my mind in that view as well. There's a shift in some of the young people now, and some of their maturity for a lot of them. And I think we're missing a population of people, and we're going to be going to the Area 31 program here in Avon. We hit up Dr. Bigger's staff and his group, and they put us in touch. We're going to talk to them about the opportunity, what it looks like, and so forth. So I think it's important to consider those changes. The rest of it is this whole document is going to be rewritten over the next calendar year as we go toward a merit system. And Jeff could maybe speak on that a little more intelligently later on if needed. But it's just where we're headed. Statute pretty much pushes that. And then we have a right to opt out of it. There's really no reason because we already mirror it so closely. And we'll drill that down amongst ourselves and present it later on in the year. But this is just the minor changes that allow us to operate appropriately right now.
Can I point out, after you approve it, to not only sign the resolution, but the document itself? Make sure you can place this aside, please. Thank you.
We found this document. Anyway, yeah, we have any other questions?
No, I didn't see anything that stood out, and
Yeah, I mean, nothing's
yeah, if
substantial.
the chief is good with it and our legal team is good with it, then
I know it's substantial. So.
Yeah, the change of age was probably the most
Biggest,
significant.
right.
Yes.
So I will make a motion to approve resolution 121923-07. Resolution of the Township Board accepting the firefighters personnel system policy.
My second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
No, you're good. And then you change your mind.
All right.
And you change your mind.
Or if I said it wrong.
Well,
Dramatic pause.
I was. Control that. Okay, next up, we have resolution 121923-08, additional appropriations.
So this is just,
This is what we talked about.
making additional appropriations, one into the general fund of about $105,000. And then, from the rainy day fund, $426,000. Both of these numbers are to cover healthcare costs. Our healthcare cost went sky high this year. So the 105 will cover, and then the 426 will put us back at the 426 reserve in that fund. This does need to be voted on individually.
They have any questions?
So we're moving
We're just,
from personal to general.
this is just appropriating another 105. So it's in the general fund. We're just appropriating it to spend it.
Okay.
And the same with the rainy day fund. We're appropriating it in the rainy day fund to move it into the healthcare fund to put that $426,000 reserve back in there.
Okay.
And then just the change in healthcare costs, is that a volume related? Is that a magnitude related cost kind of thing?
We're still kind of digging into that.
Okay.
It seems like everything, obviously everything's costing more. We did change healthcare premiums a little bit, but nothing should have caused this magnitude. So we think there's just been a lot more claims, a lot more people using the insurance.
We've had
A lot of higher, bigger claims. We've had a couple bigger claims this year that we haven't had in past years.
we've had several meetings throughout the year talking with our providers as well as to try to get our finger on the pulse of what was causing the spike. And that's been where the struggle is we can't
There's not just one thing, yeah.
a single source that's saying, oh, well, this is the reason why everything's so high. I think it's just clear across the board. We've seen increases. Some of them we can pinpoint, like she's saying, a couple, individual, okay, yeah, this one was a $30,000 hit or, but for the most part, it's just overall been high.
Yeah. And they always say with self-funded plans, 1 out of every 5 years is bad. We've had 4 really good years. Here's our 5th year, kind of been bad. So we're hoping that the trend goes back down, but we've budgeted appropriately for next year as well at these higher amounts. So yeah, we did take that into account when we did our budget.
So yeah, again, we will ask for an individual vote for the appropriation, please.
I move we adopt, resolution 121923-07. I'm sorry, 07? No, that's 08. Number's wrong here. The, additional appropriations. Separately? Okay. First,
You can do the two together, you each need to vote separately, so.
Yeah, he was,
oh,
you just, but you were voting in favor of the two combined.
Okay. I will second.
We just go through each one, right? Okay. I would say aye, but then I think, I'd say I'm voting in favor of the appropriation,
yes.
so that's on the record, correct?
Correct. And then can I point out that the I is on the right?
Yeah.
and the name
Yeah,
is
you
on the
switched.
left?
Yeah.
They were switched and they were given to us.
No, no, that's fine. I learned that the hard way.
So
I'm good.
your eyes are crossed.
Yeah.
I will vote aye as well.
And I will vote aye as well.
Just sign it, mine. I know. Not coercive.
Right,
That's for me to
that's
sign.
for you.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Any what? Any wishes to be heard? The only thing that wishes to be heard again, I think everybody said it. This is the last meeting of the year. Great work to a great year. A lot of changes, a lot of good. I think a lot of good things are moving forward. So.
We've done a lot in here. So I would just like to wish everyone Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. Enjoy the time with your family. To those working on Christmas Day, thank you. This is a sacrifice.
Our next meeting is just in a couple weeks, January 2nd, for our, I believe it's our reorganization, correct? At 3:00 here. What's that?
We thought it was the third, the second, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's messing me up over
It is
here
approved
today.
schedule. Can't go back now. Just need
It's already in there. I show up.
you just need a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn at 3:57 PM.
Second.